All right, guys, so we're going to jump to chapter 5 and start talking about monomials. Hopefully you remember monomials from Algebra 1, but if you don't, here's the definition. And here is something to remember if you don't remember it. So here's an example. These are two monomials separated by a subtraction symbol, which means that this whole thing is called a binomial because it's two terms separated by a subtraction symbol. If it was three terms separated by a plus or minus sign, then it would be a trinomial, and so on. So the constant right here is -8. The power, or exponent, is 3. The coefficient comes in front of the variable, and that's 5. And the degree is just the highest power. Since we only have one power in this, the degree is 3. Let's say you had something like 2x squared plus 5x cubed minus 8x, something like that. I'll throw in one more. Plus 11x to the 5th power. Doesn't necessarily have to be in order. All you're doing is looking for the highest power. So the degree in this example would be 5. So we're going to let me remind you how to simplify this. So I have x squared times x cubed. So one way to do it, there's two different ways you can do it. One way is to write it out. And that just means write it all out using multiplication. So I'd have x times x for the x squared times, then there's 3 x's right here, x times x times x. So all together, this would be x to the 5th power because you have 5 x's total. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is just to add the exponents. So that's the rule. If you're just multiplying variables and they have the same base, so the base would be x in this case. As long as they have the same base, you're going to go ahead and add the exponents. So this would be x to the 2 plus 3 power, which would be x to the 5th. So if you remember this rule, then it's a lot easier just to add the exponents. If you don't think you're going to remember this rule, then go ahead and write it out. Now we have something a little bit different because now we're taking this monomial and we're raising it to a power. So if it's a monomial, what we're going to do is bring this 4th power right here to every single term inside the parentheses. So again, one way to do this is to write it out. And so that would be 2a squared b cubed. Just write it out 4 times. You can go ahead and make little noises while you're doing it. It helps time go by. All right. So, and then from here, we can just, I'm going to go ahead and use the addition method that we just talked about. So I'm going to start with the coefficients and multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which will give me 16. And then I'm going to go ahead and add all the exponents because I'm just multiplying right here. So this would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So that would be a to the 8th power. And b to the 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, 12th power. So that's what that would be equal to. To multiply exponents, it's probably an easier way. What you don't want to do is forget about this coefficient right here. So I have 2 to the 4th power. Hopefully you know how to type that right in your calculator. You can do that. So you're going to get 16. And then we have, so the rule if you're raising a power to a power is to multiply the exponents. So I'm going to have a to the 2 times 4 power, which is 8. And then I'm going to have b to the 3 times 4 power, which is 12. So we end up the same way. This way is, of course, faster than writing it out. But again, if you think you're going to forget this rule, then write it out. Take the few extra seconds to just write it out. So I'm not going to remind you how to do this. This is from Algebra 1. I want to see what you remember. So as you can see, it's in red. So this is one that I want you to try. So now we're going to talk about negative exponents. Negative exponents have a pretty basic rule, but before I get to that rule, I just want to kind of show you. Okay, just want to kind of show you what each of these is equal to. So 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed, would be 1,000. 10 squared is 100. Do you see a pattern here? 10 to the first power is 10. 10 to the zero power, now here's something I want you to remember. Anything to the zero power is 1. Don't believe me? Type in your calculator. Well, don't type in 0 to the zero power, which means all of you are trying that right now. But anything else, any other number to the zero power is 1. So that's 1. So if you notice a little pattern here, from here to here, I divided by 10. From here to here, I divided by 10, and so on. So this pattern continues when we get into the negative exponents. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this number that I got and divide by 10, and that's actually going to give me 1 over 10. Right here, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to divide by 10, and that's going to give me 1 over 100, or 1 over 10 squared. So here's the rule. If you're evaluating negative exponents, a to the negative n power is equal to 1 over a to the n. And we'll certainly talk more about that in class. Here's another one I want you to try. Good luck. See you tomorrow in class.